Welcome back, everybody, to another glorious episode of Chumming with the Spirits. We got Parachum, that's me. JD, that's him. Me. And OG is this thing.
Yeah. In case nobody knows, OG means old guy. Right?
I thought it was original game.
No, it's not. Well, actually, it's my last name. Yeah. Because my kids know they're known by other people by their last names. So when I tell you, no, this is old
Godspeed.
Yes, yeah. No, this is old. Yeah. So that's
I did not. I thought it was original gangster too.
No, I'm not original. I'm not a gangster. Well, I am from the hood. I really am. And that's another podcast, though.
So, if anybody's wondering what we want to talk about tonight, we all just sat down and watched a fabulously
top five
old movie called The Legend of Boggy Creek. And no, it's not a 70s porno, even though it was filmed in the 70s.
You know what? That was the vibe I got off it, though.
Yeah, so it does have that.
The women in the trailer house by themselves, the landlord coming by. Hey, y'all want me to hang out here? You want to come back to my place? I'll come back and check on you if y'all want me to.
I loved how his name was Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson. Okay, so let's take a quick drink, right?
Ah, yes.
All right, so here's
partake of the libations.
Here's to JD talking us into watching
Boggy Creek.
The
legend.
Yeah, you're a legend.
Yes, not bad.
That's pretty good. This drinking thing, I'm just so new at. As many episodes you're an alcoholic, dude. Because you have no filter when you start drinking. You just keep going and going and going. But anyway, let's talk about it. I know you got questions, and this is the guy right here, man.
All based off of true stories.
Yeah. So the one thing that couple things that I found.
Yeah, it's never one thing.
It's never one thing.
Where's the list?
That I found most intriguing about it was first off
the porn vibe.
The porn vibe.
Okay.
The first thing was that it was filmed in 1972. Jeremy told me that the Patterson-Gimlin footage was released in 1968. So this is 67, 68. So it's only 5 or 6 years difference.
And I think that's Johnny Holmes' first year in porn was 1972.
Maybe.
I don't know if there's a
correlation.
Yeah, I'm just throwing that out there. Not that I'm a Johnny
causation correlation.
And we can have that on the podcast one day. No, I'm kidding, guys. I'm sorry.
Hey.
I'm just trying to have fun.
No, I love it. But I find it interesting that no one in the film used the term Bigfoot. It was always Sasquatch.
Well, I think you only heard Sasquatch once, right?
Yeah.
Or Hairy Man.
Yeah.
But mostly it was Hairy Man.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, in history, it actually took quite a few years after the Patterson-Gimlin film for Bigfoot to really catch on. They were hairy ape, hairy men, like we talked about. Wild man. Location, Portlock, Alaska. That was the killer Bigfoot in Alaska.
The one that terrorized the town?
Yeah.
And the guy got...
what an incredible...
The dogs had to drag him back.
Yeah. Incredible story. We should watch that again one day.
But that's a whole series, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, we should do that. But the time frame that people don't realize is like Bigfoot's a fairly new word. Was 54 years old, and it was coined in an article talking about it. Before that, everybody called them wild men, hairy men, or even wood apes, and then or used Sasquatch. I forget. There's a couple other names.
Wood booger.
Yeah,
but I even back then though, when they first started talking about them, here in the United States papers and journals, it was very accepted as far as wild man, hairy men. They were accepting that. But when they came out with the Bigfoot term, that's when everybody
it kind of turned into
against it, right?
Yeah, it really did, because there's stories from Indian tribes, early settlers, 1800s. I researched in Kansas. There was sightings up in Leavenworth the fort had talked about a large hairy man that was down by the river that you had to be careful of, that they had spotted it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys, just out of curiosity, why would that term cause the populace to be like, "Oh, that's malarkey"?
Well, I think there's two parts to that.
Because hairy man sounds more gimmicky than Bigfoot.
Well, but they're thinking like a feral man, like a guy out there like feral. When you talk about a hairy man or a wild man,
And that's what a lot of
and that's
them
really
thought.
well accepted,
They-
right?
They really thought that they were just a guy just became a hermit and
But
just
isn't
let
that
his
what
hair-
they thought Bigfoot was?
Well,
Well, that's the
well,
original.
the terminology Bigfoot came in. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go right ahead.
Because I've been known to be really rude on that with some certain spectators. And hey,
I'll smack you. It's okay.
whoa!
Yeah.
I love these guys, and they're my bros.
I mean, Juan's still friends with you, so.
Yeah.
Well, Juan doesn't have a choice. He's my kid's godfather.
But what about that term
Because
causes?
because it's cartoonish.
And it got popularized by a truck, by TV series. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that
But
that made it
Right.
movie Hollywood-esque. $6 million man bought Bigfoot. You know.
Andre the Giant. But the guy that I think what really hurt it was that guy that's playing a prank on everybody and started made wood feet himself and started out there making tracks around the logging camp. I think it was a logging camp.
But-
I could be wrong on that. And then he came out and said it. And I think that really just like
Even though he couldn't have been in almost all 50 states have some sort of reporting of it,
But I find it weird because you don't see that with other phenomenon like vampires, werewolves, ghosts,
Yeah, you do.
demons.
they still keep in mind that, you know, even in the United States over the years we have changed a lot,
Yeah.
and we went from medicine that was very holistic, you know, where nature and all that, and then we did the big pharma, and when they did big pharma, we really all that spiritualistic and holistic and herbs and anything that could be possibly spiritual got horribly ridiculed and downplayed.
So it's the Illuminati's fault.
It kind of is. Because, I mean, during that phase, you know, grandmothers used to talk about, you know, the Fae and all of the cryptids and all that. It used to be very common, which still lives in the Appalachians. You know, a lot of those stories date from all the way over. But as we modernize, as they say, anything connected to something like that was, I mean, just all of a sudden tanked people. And
Interesting.
yeah, and once it got popularized in a TV series and a movie, it became Hollywood, and then there's no credibility at that point in time.
yeah, it really has to grow organically when you talk about something like cryptids or ghosts. Because I think you said in the last podcast or a couple, it was the last podcast we did with Mike, the parapsychologist from UMKC, that you can't put it out even though there's evidence. You can't put it out there so fast it discredits something else. You got to take these baby steps. But and you're so good at figuring this stuff out, Jeremy. JD is one of the things I really love about you. You're able to analyze things quickly and understand, which I think is why you're so good at your job, the job you do.
Yeah.
You're always analyzing and fixing things. But you can see where stuff's going and where it needs to stop. And I think if it doesn't grow organically, like Ghost. Now, Ghost was like, you're an idiot, there's no such thing as Ghost, until a certain TV program
Yes,
came out.
because they took it very scientifically and started pushing that.
So, my
Did I get off track?
no. I just
That's really
stopped tapping the table.
Yeah.
So that was me?
No, that was me.
It was you.
But at least my phone's off.
So,
You
what,
think?
what I'm getting at with that whole thing, I understand where you're coming from with the grow organically and whatnot. Back in the hundreds of years ago, vampires were feared. Like, it was well known that these
Yes.
creatures exist, but that term wasn't taken lightly. In today's day and age, you're saying that it's been popularized by pop culture, movies, all that kind of stuff.
It's being accepted.
But how is that not still an organic thing?
Because it's so out there. I don't want to talk about vampires right now because I know we're going to do an episode right after this one.
No, I'm just talking generalization.
But I think because if you talk about Bigfoot or spirits or stuff like that, it's just more accepted because it's just out there. I mean, like the phones, everybody has cell phones and internet, podcasts, movies, books. It's just so much more to it.
Did closing encounters of the third kind help or hurt UFO research?
Yeah, no, I get what you guys are saying.
No, you're legit on that.
But how do we classify pop culture and media and films and all that stuff as not an organic institution?
So it
because
is.
it's an evolution of humankind.
But it goes in the wrong direction. It goes more into the fantasy, mythical, not realistic, and that's where
So it's more interpretive.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah,
the
people,
interpretation has changed.
and
okay.
it's not. Yeah, people don't think it's as real as what it once was.
I can grasp onto that more
Yep.
than what I was.
Well, once you see
what
that,
I was wrong on you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I mean,
Well, don't be sorry.
When you see
This is what
Bigfoot-
makes us different,
yeah,
right?
when you see
No,
Bigfoot fighting the $6 million
Yeah.
man, you have a hard time going, okay, that could possibly be a real creature.
Yeah, and why isn't he crushed?
As opposed to
Or run away?
As opposed to 400 years ago, your parents saying, "Don't go out at night because a creature will eat you alive."
Yeah.
Then I understand that more than okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, that's what we're here for.
Well, that's what you're here for.
You're
I'm the dumb baby.
I strayed off subject on that one.
No, it's really good.
And to get back on topic on the Boggy Creek,
Yes.
We're actually fairly close. Well, we're 9 hours from everywhere, but the Momo, the Missouri Monster,
except for Kansas.
except for Kansas. Yeah. So the Missouri Monster is also another Bigfoot-esque type creature that was very aggressive. As we watched the movie, the one in Boggy Creek was very aggressive, broke windows, attacked people.
But that's so. That was my other point that I wanted to bring up, is that closer to the beginning of the movie, or actually at the beginning of the movie, an old man shoots it in the chest, and then a little kid shoots it and brings it to his knees.
Yeah, he dropped
and
his knees.
And they say it disappeared for like 8 years or something like that.
For 8 years.
Well, if I got shot 3 times,
But that's
I wouldn't show up for 8 years either. I think it'd be a while for. Hey, I lived in the hood.
that's what I'm getting at, is that. So the first thing is that when it came back and when something came back and started tormenting it again, they referred to it as the same entity. Like it was the same one that got shot.
Well, they never found the body after the shots, right?
All of the experiences before it disappeared for that 8 years, it wasn't violent. It was just like the people would come across it and they'd be like, "What the fuck is that?" And then it would just walk off.
Something get violent after being shot? And
Do you think that caused? It was correlated.
He was 50 cents before 50 Cent.
Yeah.
He got shot multiple times.
No, yeah.
F this town.
Yeah, no, you know what? Absolutely. I mean, if you were in that state, I mean,
I want to come back, first of all.
Well, first off,
I'm just saying.
if the movie dictates correctly, it was shot at least 4 times with 12 gauge
At least.
and survived.
Yeah.
And like they even made mention that when it was shot, they were not smart enough to go grab blood samples.
Yeah, well, the first guy shot with a rifle in the chest.
But here's the deal. Who knows? Maybe it did go off and die. Maybe it was traveling with another person.
And then opened up that area for another one to come in.
And they're like, you know what?
Maybe it was his brother, and his brother was like, "Fuck this town."
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna get some payback for what happened to old Uncle Lou or whatever. Well, I'm being, an idiot.
Or maybe the one they shot was its dog, and John Wick was the real one that came
Dude,
back.
you just don't know. I mean, we don't know if it survived or not. But
Reason
if
why-
it did, that's a bad boy, man.
The reason why they think it's the same one is 8 years before that's why they brought up the footprint.
Yeah.
It has a very unique footprint. It had 3 toes.
Yeah.
And there are casts. You can go to Falk, Arkansas. They have a museum there. Highly recommend going and check it out. Finding Bigfoot's been down there. There's a bunch of different people have gone down there, signed. But they have the cast from when that was actually found. And they've looked at it, and with 3 toes, or its disfigured foot, is very similar to what you would think of inbreeding. It probably was a very small population of them, secluded, because I mean that's pretty far south in the central United States, so you don't have a lot of range that you can go. So,
Yeah.
which also may be why they're more aggressive. They're also not as tall. Like when you think about the other ones, they think they're 8 to 10 foot.
I noticed
This one
that,
is
yeah.
like 7 to 8 foot, but way more aggressive. Because like we probably do another episode on the Momo to talk about it because it terrorized people too.
Right.
Well, and I thought it was intriguing too that it was portrayed as not as tall, yet the footprint that they showed of the guys in the field, it was hard like dirt, like hard dirt. And this thing was imprinted at least an inch down into the dirt.
And you're talking
In your mind, how big did you think it was?
So in my mind,
weight-wise, what were we thinking?
in my mind, I was thinking, that's got to be at least 800 pounds. to cause something
That's
like
a
that.
lot of meat.
But
that's a big dude.
But that lends to the question, like, usually it's a proportional distribution. So if it's that heavy, it's gotta be bigger than like 6-7 foot tall, in my opinion.
It might be 8.
Unless it's just pure, unadulterated fucking muscle.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, because we all know the muscle weighs more than fat.
You're talking about it's probably low body fat. Most gorillas or apes are that way, but their muscles a lot denser than ours too.
And that may lend credence to why the buckshots and stuff didn't take it down because
Because it didn't penetrate all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
most people don't realize like a silverback gorilla, if it stands upright, it's 6 foot plus.
But they're only 400 pounds or something like that.
yeah, but
500 pounds.
dude, but I told
Well,
you
it's technically 800-pound gorilla. I mean, they get big, but now you're talking another 2 foot on top.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Otherwise,
that'd
But
be
the
a
scary thing for me is you're
shrunken
okay. Let's go in the middle. We'll go. Let's say 500, 600 pounds, and it can move silently through the woods at a very high rate of speed. That's
scary.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that reach through multiple times trying to grab things.
And a gun will kill it.
Well, not from that distance, right?
Not
But
from that
there
distance,
has been stories where guys they said they put it down and
But that could be another subspecies.
well, it could have been a 357 Magnum, or we don't know what kind of gun.
Well, but then you get into like we had one brief discussion talking about like I think most people are now realizing that if you see one, there's probably more.
Yeah.
So if you actually killed one, it would probably, if they're social like us, would take the body and move it.
That's
and we're
why
talking
we're
about
not
creatures that can snap trees or uproot them and flip them over.
Well, they even mentioned that as when the kid shot it.
it started breaking.
It was breaking like
and just,
2-inch diameter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Nothing.
Well, I think it was killing dogs. It was. I mean.
So, my question for you guys is, and I think I may have brought this up in our Bigfoot episode. It's always a question that has plagued my mind when it comes to cryptids in general. Have you guys ever seen the movie The Relic?
Yes.
So in
Great
that
movie.
movie, it's a great movie. In that movie, the
They take
doctor
over.
or the professor talks about that it is possibly a generational mutation in a species that we already know about that does not allow for spermination or generation of new lineage. So
It's a one-off every so many generations.
that's why things
That's the
disappear
scientists
for so
talking over
long, and like there's huge stints of time where no one sees anything like this because it's died off, but then that genetic mutation comes back or has altered itself into something else. Do you think that that's a plausible explanation of all of this cryptid phenomenon?
I don't think you can discount that.
Yeah,
out.
I think there's probably multitude. Like we briefly talked, I think there's probably multitude of species.
Yeah.
In the United States and all over the world,
In
and
different regions.
different regions, and they have offshoots in that. Just no different than apes, monkeys.
These are different personalities and
Characteristics.
how they interact.
Well, because that was one of the things that I brought up during us watching it. Everybody that shot this thing had no hesitation, and if you watch like the Patterson Gimli footage, they don't ever shoot at it. They just watch it. It was fairly docile. It was moving away. And most hunters that talk about when they see something like that, they get an unearthly feeling that it's too human-like.
Yeah.
Well, that guy even said that in the film that
Well, and I think
if it was a human, I'd have to live with that for the rest of my life if I shot it.
And I think
And they're like, nope, dude.
I think most people with common sense that do hunt, live off the land or whatever, would have that feeling. And I'm not saying that the 3 people in that show that shot at it didn't have common sense,
Oh, we're more 3.
but
Only 5 or 6.
like we had a discussion once of, Dave, what would you do if you had a gun? You saw the, it's a Sasquatch. My first thing was like, I would shoot it to prove that it exists. And then Jeremy, JD's like, hey, dumbass, what about the other 3 you're not seeing? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Clever girl.
oh yeah, clever girl. Yeah. So yeah, but I think hopefully the soul, the inner peace person in you, if you were a hunter or whatever, you're like, hey, this is like a dude. I can't do that. And you hear a lot of people say
Yeah,
that.
I mean, that's
Right.
overwhelmingly,
They get them in the
yes.
sights and there's like,
It's too human-like for them to do something.
Yeah.
And that,
now, if it's a raging gorilla,
Yeah,
I know it's
coming-
real,
yeah, and it's coming at you.
I'm smoking that thing. But I wanted to go back a little bit because you're talking about how big gorillas are. You said 6 feet tall when they stand up. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. Great zoo. They have a great
The Henry
exhibit.
Dooley. Yeah, up in Omaha.
I was from here to the camera to an ape, and it stood up, and it was almost as tall as me. And seeing
way broader.
and you seen his head, I'm thinking, I can't even get my arms around his head.
No.
And then I'm looking at his arm, and I'm going to go on a little adventure and not pat myself on the back, but I'm a pretty bad dude, or I used to be in my younger days. I can throw, and I'm a strong man. I'm stronger than most guys that are my age or whatever, and just from the lifting I do. And I'm looking at this thing like it would shred me like a piece of paper.
Easily.
I mean, and it was just, I was intimidated.
Yeah.
And, there's a piece of glass between us, thank God, but I was so intimidated by just looking at this thing. I was in awe of it. Now, can you imagine seeing an 8 to 10 foot?
Yeah.
My God.
Just imagine it. You see it, and
Right.
it comes at you, and it wants to have its way with you.
And
Yeah.
please do.
Yeah.
But talking about that, people don't put 2 and 2 together. Like, that was like one of the first episodes. Like, they chase after, they think they see one and they go running after it. What are you going to do when you catch it?
Yeah.
If you did.
Pray.
Because, I mean, pray.
Oop, my bad.
So what the fuck am I supposed to do? Yeah.
Oops.
But, I mean, because people kind of forget about that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if it was truly violent, there's
But the excitement in you.
No, I
and
get
the ones that are running away are trying to avoid
Yes.
you. So I think that's like, hey, I can
But
pursue this.
there's quite a
But
few
the
that-
ones that are like
stalking somebody,
and snapping trees,
Trees, yeah.
you know what?
throwing rocks.
We're cool. I'm just gonna walk this way.
But that's the even scarier part is how freaking huge and muscular and strong they are, and how silent they are.
The
they're just-
footages that I've seen, them that big and moving so fluid through an uneven terrain.
It would
People,
be.
I mean, I've done stupid things in my life.
Ultimate predator, right?
Yeah, I mean, I go try to run through, even like Kansas doesn't have a whole lot of heavy forest. I can take you to areas and you go to try, if you're gonna bite it. Like two times out of 10, you're gonna be running
And you're going to hear every step.
Yeah, every
No,
step.
no,
These
no,
things are
you're-
moving so
But you're
fast.
gonna fall.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
You're gonna wipe.
That's a good.
And these things are, I mean, like the footage that you really catch, and that you can get a glimpse of how fast they are. You're like, that is crazy. Like even at 400 pounds, moving that fast. Well, the motion is what tells me that that's not a person because
It's so smooth.
it's so smooth. Their head doesn't
Yeah,
bob
no
like a guy
bobbing.
runs. It's just smooth, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah,
that's
You don't,
not
you don't
good.
even hear them
Just-
running through the tree
No,
branches.
Just
Yeah, no,
gliding.
that's-
Just
It's like they're phasing.
Most of the
through it
time,
all.
like if you were actually hearing them, they're literally crashing into stuff to let you know that they want you out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we all seen the one with the one on infrared flare cameras running through the woods at nighttime.
Yeah.
And moving
I mean,
fast.
moving like and complete trees everywhere
That in dark.
in dark. Come on, man. Come on. That's not some track star running through there. That's not happening. So back to Boggy Creek. So yeah, I don't want to stray too
and
far.
something else that maybe also part of this, since they didn't have fear, like they looked at it, I mean, it was upright 2 feet, but none of them were like, oh, it's a man. It was deformed. Its feet was deformed. It may have been hunchback. It may have been a deformed version of it.
That's a good
May-
point. Yeah.
Well-
May have been mental I mean,
if it was inbred, it's probably not working with the full, up here.
Yeah.
It's not working. So it could be very well aggressive because of the inbreeding. That that's the theory anyway. So anyway, yeah, kind of when you look at the show, even though it's so damn dated, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, like I said, like when I saw that, I was maybe 5 to 8 when I first saw that, and like I said, and what's weird about the movie is like the first 30 minutes of the movie is like lighthearted. I have totally forgot they're playing music and all that, and then after the 8 years,
nature shots
starts going downhill pretty quick. Then that's when the stuff comes in, and that's the part of that I remember most, like the bathroom scene, the farm, and it's like
the trauma scene of that one guy. So I guess we're saying is, people, if you haven't watched it,
definitely
you can definitely watch it for free if you just know where to look on certain channels and stations like that.
1972, The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yeah, it's actually
it's pretty good.
It's pretty good, and I think we were reading that it did like $166,000 to produce it.
Yeah, 160.
And it was a huge hit in the 70s. I mean, it was huge.
It was well.
I mean, I'm not talking Star Wars.
No, but I mean, keep in mind, that was also a day and age where you go to the drive-in movie theater and you see 2 to 3 movies. But it made the rounds. And then, like, it's a cult classic. There's people that still...
Well, there's people that's investigating stuff like that because of that show.
Yeah, no, there's quite a few YouTube and TV stars that sparked the interest in all that stuff. And it has cool... me, it definitely inspired me when I saw that, like, hey, that's definitely something interesting.
That's real. I mean, it's... So, saying that, Parachum.
Yeah, to think about that.
What was... Yeah, I wanted to make sure. I'm trying. Seriously. Because I know that cryptids are not your thing. It's not your gig, right? Nothing you really
He's more into probing.
Yeah. And we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about the program.
No judging.
Did you pay her off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did
we're getting off subject.
Did I beat him off?
Pay him off.
Pay him off.
Pay who off?
Okay, we're gonna play stupid.
Yeah.
So
I'm stupid. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we know. What was your thought of the movie?
What's your take of the movie? Don't worry about the pegging.
Okay, because I'm lost right now. What were my thoughts on the movie?
What's that?
No,
seriously.
Phenomenal acting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was acting.
No, I liked the mix of reenactment, documentary style. So it was like watching a movie, but watching a documentary at the same time. I don't think I've really seen a movie like that
the
before.
guy talking during the show.
Yeah, the guy that narrating is talking about when he was there.
But the entire movie...
He was the kid at the beginning of the show, right?
But there's
the guy at the end.
But there's no interviews. There's no... It was
They used a lot of people from the actual events in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's...
I thought they did a phenomenal job. It definitely intrigued me. I would like to go down and check it out and visit it.
You heard it.
Yeah.
I think people that haven't seen it should go and try to find it and watch it. Even though it's dated, you can see that it's dated.
It is. And if you get past the first half an hour, it kept me kind of...
I mean, the first half hour you're going to go, what am I watching? Is this a nature documentary?
Why did I even make a pizza full to watch this? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
No, I'm because I know where your taste lies. Well, I feel like I have an idea where your taste lies, so I wanted to know what your perspective of the show was.
Thought it was great.
Okay.
Pretty impressive for 1970.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they had...
I think with a guy with very limited resources and funds, went back to the place where he grew up with this experience that he had as a child, going back and going to the town.
Of aerial footage from 1972. I mean, even though it was a little
B-roll.
choppy, I was like, that was pretty impressive.
I thought they for the time frame and all that. I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, like all the people are probably, well, I mean, the youngest ones they're probably in their 80s now, 70s or 80s by now.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I liked it.
All right. Awesome.
Kate, what was your thoughts? besides it being dated?
Well, you know, I really struggled with the first 30 minutes the first time I watched it. And I got to the meeting so-and-so out his little hut. And I'm like, good Lord.
Henry.
But obviously,
with tobacco.
got me some sugar and some tobacco once in a while. And sometimes some wine or whiskey. But
That was pretty impressive.
was that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
That was spot on.
I'm a thespian. Yes, I am. So saying
He's
that.
into drama.
I'm in drama. No, I enjoyed it when it picked up. I love the storyline of it. I love the authenticity of it. Because they're telling a story
It was.
that happened from these people's perspective and what he remembered as a child. So I really enjoyed it.
And I would have totally shit my pants in that one scene.
Well,
In the bathroom.
oh, yeah, well, yeah, he was in the appropriate place for
Yeah.
for that event to happen, for sure.
Yeah. So we recommend you guys going and checking it out.
Well, I think you made a really good thing about the show, though. Most of the women in there were beautiful women
Yeah,
that were
that
not
was weird.
professional actresses. So say that we're thinking Arkansas probably has a lot of beautiful women.
And a nice accent.
Yeah.
They had that southern Arkansas accent.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, some pretty cool cars too, since it was filmed in
Yeah.
1972.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty neat cars.
Got
Watch
to
out
see
for it.
a beat up old green Chevy Cheyenne pickup with that famous green color. My uncle had one. His actually was a '72 Chevy, so I remember him driving that. My dad's twin brother, who lived next door to us. Yeah.
So yeah, let us know if you guys end up watching it in the comments. Or if you have watched it, let us know what you think.
Or do you remember watching it when you were a kid?
Yeah.
I mean, it came out back in '72, and it kind of made the rounds on TV for a while.
In the 80s.
Yeah, in the '80s, probably up to the '90s. Because that was back when syndication wasn't a real big thing, so they were just grabbing anything to throw back on TV. But
Yeah. So until next time.
be safe.
Stay safe, guys.
Thanks, guys.